And I'd like to start this discussion, Sesame Trade Forum, by inviting the first and foremost, the moderator of the session on the stage. Please put your hands up for Mr. K S Prakash from Hakan Agro DMCC to join us on the stage. Our contributors to this panel would be from Rasagra, Mr. Mohammad Fakran, the director of Rasagra. Also inviting from Praramb Agri Trading DMCC, Mr. Alok Bhargav, the director. Okay, so next up we have from Mitsui and Company, we have Tomohisa Fujimoto-san, Mr. Sheriff Balogan, the president of National Sesame Seed Association, Nigeria. And once again, the senior consultant for CFNA, Ms. Harshin. Let's hear it for Ms. Helen once again back up on the stage. This session would be discussing trade challenges along with possible solutions. Before I hand over this session to Mr. K S Prakash, as I wish all of you a great and a highly engaging interactive session ahead, please ensure that at the end of this session you're here with us. The breakaway sessions, one-on-one B2B meetings would begin in the hall where you just had lunch a while back. The tables are already set there for meetings. In case there's a particular table that you want to join for a meeting, please feel free to reach out to your Fortel associates, your registration desk. Someone would facilitate that for you. Having said that, everyone, it's time for me to hand over the session to Mr. K S Prakash, sir.
Thank you, thank you. Merhaba. Nasil sinners. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, I would like to thank the organizing committee to organize this event in this beautiful city of Istanbul. And I also thank them for putting me in this panel. I will try to handle this responsibility to the best of my efficiency, as this panel consists of industry, patrons, and highly qualified personals. This session named Sesame Trade Forum, targeting to discuss the core trade challenges. We will stick to this point only. That means this session will be discussing only about the challenges we are facing in this industry. It can be anything. It can be operational or logistics problems, counterparty risk, and it can be also performance challenges. I would like to classify these challenges into two, from buyer side or from supplier side. Pre-shipment challenges and post-shipment challenges. The world trade sesame seed is growing up year by year. Hence, it's gaining more importance at this point. There are new players are coming into this field and more problems as well. The total international trade volume is about 2 million tons with a production of about 3 million tons, as some part of the production is consumed locally. India still continue to be the single largest producer of sesame seed, and China contributes about 50% of the imports. Though India is the single largest producer of sesame seed, their export volumes are coming down every year. This is due to reducing in farmland as more industrialization is happening in India, increasing the local consumption because of the purchasing parity of Indian people is going up every year. And also, India is more concentrating on the processed exports, which is whole sesame seed. India at the moment is the largest producer and exporter of whole sesame seeds to Europe, USA, rest of the world. So, we are also witnessing the production in Nigeria is increasing considerably. I won't get surprised after a few years if Nigeria is becoming the single largest producer of sesame seed in Africa. There is a good chance to happen that. Ethiopia continues to be a constant. There is no much change ups and down in the production. Sudan, with its political problems and climatical issues, the production volume is going up and down in different years. Now, I give you a small introduction only just to know why it is important to discuss about the challenges we are facing in this industry. With this note, I will welcome Mr. Mohammad Fakran from Rasagra, Fujimoto-san from Mitsui Corporation, Ms. Hechin from CFNA, and Mr. Alok Bhargava from Praram, and Mr. Sharif from Nigerian Sesame Seed Association. First, I would request Mr. Mohammad Fakran to give his speech, initial speech. Just to remind you all that we have a lot of time constraining. We are already running a little bit late on our schedules. So please stick to the 5 minutes on the initial discussions so that we will get more time to discuss about the problems. Thank you.
Good day, ladies and gentlemen. It gives me great honor to participate in this nice gathering today. Allow me to introduce very briefly my company, where I come from. Rasagra Gida, we are a tahini factory. We are located in Mersin, the south part of Turkey. We are one of the top producers of tahini in the world. In our factory, we can process more than 50 tons of sesame per day. And we have a big chunk of the Turkish export market share of tahini and sesame seed. And it's a long-term friendship and partnership between two families from Turkey and Lebanon that brought Ras Agra to where it stands today. I would like to thank the organizers of this nice convention for giving us this great opportunity to discuss some of the numerous challenges that we are facing in today's sesame trade market. Believe me, this market requires a lot of cooperation between the farmers and traders from one side and the buyers from the other side in order to have a smooth, permanent, and complete supply chain. For sure, we will not discuss the world economic political issues, despite the fact that they are seriously affecting our market. We need to focus mainly on the problems and the issues that we need to solve. We need to cooperate all together to try to create a better environment for sesame seed trading. As tahini producers, or as any sesame seed buyer, we expect from our suppliers not only good prices all the time, but also many things. Number one, quality improvement, which requires constant research and development for the plantation process itself. We need to see more agricultural engineers involved in order to have a healthier seed for better tahini yield and sesame oil quality. We would like to have professional farmers planting our sesame. Number two, we also need to see more efforts in finding solutions for the dangerous microbiological threats that we are seeing in the sesame plantation, like Salmonella, E. coli, the Listeria, as well as the pesticides residues issue, which added new challenges to the farmers, we admit that, but it is today mandatory to follow those new international parameters. At the end of the day, our children are consuming the end product. 3, we all need to honor our contracts. It is not acceptable anymore to see farmers and traders defaulting their contracts. No more buyers refusing to collect their cargo on every drop in price. This year we have lived and heard about many similar cases, unfortunately. We all need to work within the frame of the fair trade ethics And why not to have an independent arbitrage body to help us in solving such issues when we face them? Number 4, we also would like to see the farmers and the natural sesame processors facilitate and support the international NGOs who can guide and educate many of the potential investors in this industry to achieve the optimal business workflow and help them invest wisely in the plantation of the sesame. Ladies and gentlemen, we seriously need to work on solving these challenges in order to have a better, more standardized environment surrounding this promising business. It is really a promising business. The global demand for sesame has grown dramatically over the past years and will keep on growing in the future due to the increasing demand for many consumer products in which sesame and tahini are the main ingredients. You all remember how hummus, for example, has shifted from being only a Mediterranean side dish consumed in a very limited geographic area. Today, it became the #1 healthy, vegan, on-the-go supermarket bestseller, especially in the US market, Canada, and this trend is being contagious to the Mediterranean and to the European countries also. Today, also a new trend is coming to life, the squeezable tahini, with different flavors and applications that serves like a salad dressing or a table sauce. And this product will also position very well on the shelf. So we need to really take care about our sesame. Finally, my lovely partners in Ras Agra and I wish everyone a very successful convention. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Mohammad Fakran, for your nice presentation. Now, I would like to call Fujimoto-san to give his speech. Thank you.
So, my name is Tomohisa Fujimoto from Mitsui Corporation of Japan. So, firstly, thank you so much for invitation to this Sesame conference. I'm so happy to join this first time in Istanbul. So today, I prepare some challenges to supply side because everyone knows that Japanese market is just buyer country, not supply country. So in Japan, we are buying sesame seed from all over the world and mainly from Africa. So around 70% or 80% from Africa. So from now on, I would like to explain about some challenges and the issue from supply side. So please look my presentation. So one challenge is about logistics issues. So everyone can find it is Japanese import statistics date from 2005 to 2018. So red color is around 150,000 to 160,000 metric ton per year. It means Japanese average consumption from all over the world. Then this right side is overview of Japanese marketing. So average quantity is 150 to 116,000 metric ton per year. And preferable stable supply. So this morning, ETG, Mr. Tarun-san said that Japanese market is like, how to say, sustainable market. So we are buying stable quantity and a stable, how to say, price also every month. And manufacturer are having each stocks. So Japanese market is not like a Chinese market. So China market is having each stock in Qingdao port and Tianjin port and Dalian port. But Japanese market having stock by a trading company and the manufacturer. So it means no position without buyer. It is big difference with Chinese market. So, and each manufacturer likes each origin. So of course, there is more than 10 manufacturers in Japan. So each manufacturer likes each origin. One company likes Nigeria, Of course, other company also likes Nigeria, but other company likes Tanzania origin. So everyone likes each origin, and they have own, how to say, a story to making a market in Japan. And in Japan, main origin is from Nigeria and Tanzania and Burkina Faso. So that means that shipment date is around 2.5 months from each port to Japanese market. So now maybe everyone knows that there is a big issue of transportation problem from each country. So why Japanese market and Japanese buyer are informed and claim to each supplier? So of course we are very appreciate supply to Japanese market stable, but Japanese market like how to say, stable and sustainable buying and having inventory, because they have not too much inventory without any buyer and own stocks. They cannot buy from other company. Of course, we are not buying from other trading company. So that means very important to keep stock and sustainable supply. And next page. So maybe everyone knows that Japanese regulation is very strict about pesticide. So we called positive list. It means Japanese regulation that we covered not only sesame seed, all of the agriculture product, but especially sesame seed is very strict. That's why sesame seed is especially importing item, not a plantation in Japanese farmers. So that means Japanese government, how to say, don't take care of a Japanese farmer. So we have to import from all over the world. But Japanese government is very strict manage in sesame seed compared with other big commodity. So even if each supplier and each local farmer and each middleman effort to a good sesame seed and a good price for supplying to Japan. But in case of detections that is pesticide, we cannot buy even through they have a big effort for us. So we want to supplier and each farmer and collector to educate a good, how to say, education and how to use a pesticide. So now I prepare some summary of detection recent 2 years. Around recent 2 years, 8 items, 8 times rejected by official survey. So you can find mainly from Africa, from Ethiopia, and the next one is Myanmar, it is not Africa, and Sudan, and Ethiopia, and Burkina Faso, and Uganda. So of course, I know everyone can supply safety material, but sesame seed is not only one farmer. One container or many container should be prepared from many farmers. So one pickup sample is safe, but other pickup sample is not same farmer. So please take care and please kindly understanding about the Japanese regulation. Of course, we really appreciate to supply to Japanese market for keeping our market because sesame seed is very specialized food for Japanese, and we eat almost every day with rice or sauce and soup, anything. So we really appreciate big effort and big support for us. But it is, we have faced this trouble and to clear and solve this issue. So I hope each countryside hope to educate a farmer and how to correct usage of pesticide. So of course, Mitsui also, Japanese company also supporting to each supplier and each country, and through the government using JICA of Japanese government sector. So of course, we want each country to growing up sesame seed market, then a good profit for each country. So I hope to do and expand more business to Japanese market. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Fujimoto-san. Now, I would request Ms. Hwin to give her thoughts about these challenges we are facing in this industry. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Yes, yes, we are facing some challenges as the largest importers of sesame seeds. And I think we have many problems during the deals with the supplier countries. And I think now the challenges in front of us and to be urgently resolve it. One is the quality. This quality is always not stable, and the weight cannot be guaranteed. And every year, I think a lot of the disputes came from these sides. So what is the better way to help us improve it? And the second one is how to find the balance between the supply and the demand. Yes, of course, and it is really in the imbalance. But that is what we try to find, what is the better way. Because at least now China, the sesame demand, especially for sesame imports, have been stabilizing. And during the stability period, it's time for us to find the better way to resolve the problem from the supplying side. So how can we do? Maybe we can follow the Chinese system. For example, we have a lot of website to record daily the selling prices and the stock in the main ports. And whether we can have this kind of system in the supply in the countries and the record and the daily and the shipments and the production, the situation in terms of quality and something like that. Of course, it is very difficult. Yes, that is my problem here. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hwin. You were very precise on your points. Of course, we will discuss about it. Now, I request Mr. Alok Bhargava to give his speech from African side.
We have heard all destinations, Japan, Turkey, and China. Now, what I have done is I have classified my presentation. It's not a presentation, it's just a discussion into 4 stages. That what is the pre-shipment challenges we are facing as an African origination country. And then second portion is what are the port shipment challenges we feel we are facing. Third is some trade related issues. And of course, if we can find some conclusions or something. When you look to the pre-shipment challenges, you know, the quality we have heard from Japan, we have heard from Turkey, we have heard from China. But, you know, they have to understand, number one, Africa, we don't have big farmers. We have small farmers who grow to the tune of some kilos to some ton, not the full truck. We have a system in almost all the countries across East and West Africa where there is a middleman who collects the sesame seed from various farmers. It could be 1, it could be 10 in one truck, and then it comes to the warehouse of the exporters or to the cleaning plant, and then it is cleaned and then it is shipped. So when they talk about consistency, yes, there is a consistency, but sometimes what happens, most of the time, the complaint what we have heard from them is that, a few containers are like this and few containers are, is not the same containers. But I feel, it is the system in Africa, when we are collecting from different farmers, different holdings and small holdings, the consistency of quality, we can only improve. But yes, then, it has to go with the buyer or at the destination, because the prices are also done accordingly. It is not that that all prices are same. If you are selling Nigeria, or if you are selling Tanzania, or if you are selling Mozambique, or for that matter, Burkina, all prices are never same. It has their own price level with the quality they expect to come. Then secondly, we heard this NGOs comment. I would just like to mention that NGOs are already working in Uganda, in some places in Ethiopia, and what I know, even in Malawi, some NGOs are now involved in production and improving the quality of the sesame seed. Maybe in other countries as well, but this is what country I know where they are existing and they are already in the process of improving the quality, giving good seeds and better seeds than before. And I have been in this trade for so many years. If I can tell, the quality which Africa was supplying 10 years and the quality which is supplying now, there is a huge, huge difference, which I think all buyers should confirm. I believe so, because it has really made a lot of changes in Africa. What it used to be in 1995 or 1997 and what is there in 2019, there is a much difference. Technology has come, machine has come, the farmers is educated, everything has changed in Africa, and it is still changing. We see a lot of things improving in Africa. Then, second thing, for the pre-shipment, we see the port situations. In the port situation, of course, Nigeria is one, which we have heard from Nigerian presentation. I remember from 2015 or 16, this Nigeria port situation is not good. But of course, efforts are being made by the government to improve the situation. But this is part and parcel of Africa, I believe, I will have some suggestion for this. I think this we will go when we'll go to some suggestion slide, if we can make easier for buyer and seller both. The third is, cleaning and origin challenges. There are so many challenges. When I talk about cleaning, say in Nigeria, we have electricity problem. In Ethiopia, everybody knows there is an electricity problem. We have electricity some days, we don't have electricity some days. So this cleaning process and everything is also time consuming in most of the African country. When you try to explain to the buyer, of course, buyer will see his own market and he will see that I want my goods fast. But then when you go to the Africa, you have to see what sort of infrastructure which is still there and what are the problems and challenges they are facing still. Then the fourth point, if you look, the currency fluctuation. This is not only for origins, this is as well as for the destination. Currency changes very fast. Even now, if you look in the last 1 or 2 weeks, you can see the Chinese currency moved from 6.88 to 7.05 and 7.06. Similarly, in Africa, we have a lot of challenges as to currency fluctuations. There is no system or very less system for hedging the currency in Africa. It is always a spot, whether it is Nigeria or whether it is Mozambique or any other country, even Burkina. You have to have a spot currency. It doesn't work that you can book the currency for the next 2 weeks. Then another challenge is what we are facing because of the port and shipping restrictions are short shipments, which of course the buyers are not happy with. But yes, there are certain challenges which we are still facing for that. Then we have some typical countries issues, like for example, Ethiopia has own issue of import and export balance because they take 25% or 40% higher market and then they discount it with the imports. And then if you look at in Mozambique, we have issue with Beira, where then cyclone came and the port situation, it got about 3 weeks to 4 weeks to get the port into the normal situations. This has some typical country situation. Laos, Sudan is facing some political uncertainty, which is not predictable. So there are certain situations which comes off and on to the countries where we work with. And then another thing, when this quality issue is raised by buyers, I feel that the region-wise sales, which is happening, I would say for the last 4 or 5 years, and it is, becoming more and more. It is also one of the reasons why sometimes buyers feel that what they bought and what they got is different. I can explain you this point a little bit. Previously, few years back, it was only Nigeria. I will just take Nigeria as example because most of the things was talked about Nigeria. The sales was done as Nigerian sesame seed. Then few years back, it came Bauchi. Then some years after 1 year, it became Kanu. Kanu was always there. But then after Kanu, it becomes Bauchi, then Bauchi to Yobe. Now, there is a situation, the buyer is demanding, okay, I need that particular village sesame. It is not possible when the exporter agree just to sell. But if you look the practicality, if I am getting a truck in my warehouse, if my supplier is saying it has bought this truck from, say, Yobe area or Jigawa area, either I trust him or I don't trust him. This is the way it should be. And most of the seller, just to sell the commodity, they just go, no, Bauchi is more white than Yobe. How do you prove this? I really don't know. We have seen practically. If you talk about Tanzania, when you talk about north and south, yes, it is acceptable because it's a complete different geography. But when you talk of Kanu and then inside the Kanu you are going in Bauchi, it is like, from colony to street address and it is street address to the house address. It doesn't work. So I feel we need to normalize at least this in a trade so that buyer has less complaint. Then when we go to post-shipment challenges, mostly the complaints are for the transit times. Now these transit times, especially in West Africa, we have no control on shipping lines. Everybody knows that. It's a big challenge. We have tried talking with all the head office of shipping line, but nobody supports. So I feel the transit time issue or the free timeliner issue, this has to go with the trade, and it has, if it is better, we mention in the contracts that this is how the transit time looks like, and it would go like this so that buyer have less and less problems. Then when it comes to trade leadership, as I explained, currency is the bigger issue. And then we have import country restriction. I will give you one example that I think a year back or a year and a half back, China just one day announced that FFA should be 1.5% only. It has been years and years, the trade has been done at 2% FFA. And suddenly in the morning, you just got a mail from all the buyers that now whatever you do, we have to have 1.5 FFA in the contracts just to have the custom clear at the destinations. So this is one of the challenge, we feel because FFA, okay, fortunately, Africa doesn't have FFA more than 1.5 unless it is old cargo, but then still it creates a problem in the trade. Then another issue which we, as an exporter or as an originator, we are facing is Japan pesticide issue. We have seen in presentation, but our experience is there are 100 more pesticide which the cargo get rejected, and you come to know only when it is rejected. Most of the pesticide, I think we have not heard for. So I feel to remove this, all the origin countries should make a request to Japan to at least relax some of the limit which is acceptable in the world. It's a very strict limits, very, very strict limit, 0.000 and something 1, and you get your cargo back to your origin, and origin has no provision of taking the cargo back. So this is a situation normally we feel when it comes to the pesticide issue. Any big variation, of course, I'm not defending any major variation. It's only where the border cases are there, or where, some cases which is not harmful to human, I feel those pesticides should be at least relaxed for. And of course, quality disputes, we have discussed, I think, a lot of issues on this quality. So I'm just leaving this. Then I feel if in the contracts or in our understanding with the buyers, if the quality norms can be fixed. Quality norms, as far as the specification are concerned, is already fixed, which everybody knows. There is oil content, there is FFA, there is admixture, fine. But let's fix, to avoid region-wise sales, we fix, okay, this is white or this is not white, or at least, just for example, say Nigerian sesame seed or something. I feel this is one of the way to remove quality issues between the two. As far as port congestion and the problems in the shipping line is concerned, my suggestion, already China and Japan, they buy 2 months contract. 2 months contract means if you are selling today, for example, it is August, September. I feel Turkey should also adhere this, because Turkish, if today is 16 August, they want on 17 August to be shipped. So obviously port congestion will be always a story. So I feel we should make some system, at least previously, maybe 6 years back, one month was enough for a shipment to be done from Africa, from African countries. But I feel now at least 45 days or 2 months should be the shipment period. Then the problem of getting delayed and all those kind of problem will be at least minimized. And I got some suggestion from the people that in some cases, in some genuine cases, because if receipt for shipment, BL can be accepted as contract. It is now in no destination, it is accepted as a contractual shipment. But maybe if we can do that, and there is a receipt from port authorities or shipping line, then probably it will serve the purpose in some of the countries.
Thank you, Mr. Alok. Now I'll call upon the stage Mr. Sharif, the last speaker of this panel. Mr. Sharif, please, I request you to deliver your speech on this matter. Thank you.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon, and a special greetings to His Excellency, the Governor of Jigawa State, who took time from his thick schedule to be with us and is still staying here. For us, there are challenges, and I'm going to look at it from a production part, because Nigeria is increasingly becoming one of the biggest producers of sesame. Challenges being faced are getting the necessary support from the government. And the Jigawa State Governor, I'll say, is exceptional in providing all the support for the teeming sesame seed farmers, producers in Jigawa State. Jigawa State is fast becoming one of the biggest producers of sesame in Nigeria. And I'm sure some of the big buyers can attest to this. They are also doing a lot to contribute to growing sesame in Nigeria. Now, challenges from production part. For me, I look at this as the most important part of the chain, because if there is no production, all what we are doing here today will not be existing. If there is no product, then there wouldn't be issues, there wouldn't be some product to trade on. So we have to look at what are the challenges facing producers. We talk about issue of quality, and like one of the speakers mentioned, sesame seed is produced by very, very smallholder farmers. Half a ton, 200 kilograms in some cases. So if you look at the challenges of aggregating and getting and putting together huge stocks, it is a loss. So what do you do to ensure that those who toil and produce in those little quantities get a decent pricing for their product? because that is what, at the end of the day, is going to encourage them to produce and to increase the production. And then the trade will flourish, and then everybody will be happy at the end of the day. But when we don't have good prices for the producers, then you can be sure that the business will not be there. Now, addressing quality issues also is a major challenge. We have issues of aflatoxin, we have issue of salmonella. Now, salmonella is a recent one for us, of course, and that has happened also because the threshold for the salmonella has increased, especially for shipments to Europe. I know recently there was an alert about products going out of Nigeria being rejected because of salmonella, and this has happened to one of the biggest players in the sector that had this problem, and it was brought to our notice, and we've tried to address it. But of course, we know because the threshold was increased, it's like the case of the Japanese insecticide level, where it's becoming so very stringent as to almost to the point of saying there shouldn't be any of this insecticide used in the product. So I think there needs to be an engagement to find a way of resolving that issue. Now, also looking at challenges of pre-shipment in terms of the ports in Nigeria. Yes, we've had problems in terms of getting products into the ports at the right time, but that has improved drastically within the past few months. Government has taken up this and is trying to solve that. But I'm sure coming season we don't have the same problem that we had this season in that sense. Now, short shipment also, I know I've had discussions with some people in the house here today. They've talked about short shipment. Those are some of the problems that are beyond the exporters in Nigeria, because those are problems of the shipping line, just like the transit times are problems of the shipping line. You deliver your goods to the port, you have 10 containers, and the shipping line picks up 8 or 7 containers. As an exporter, there is not much you can do about this. Of course, the buyer would not be happy because the shipments are not going together, but then that is an area that we have to discuss with the shipping lines and see how these problems will be solved. Now, marketing as well. The Nigerian sesame seed is increasingly finding different destinations. Turkey is becoming a huge importer of Nigerian sesame seed, and we're happy about that because we face a disadvantage in terms of the Chinese market. When the presentation was made about the trade export figures into China, I was shaking my head because I saw Niger Republic with about 100 and something thousand tons, and the figure from Nigeria was, ridiculously low by what was seen on the screen. But I know definitely that those figures are not correct. This is so reflected because Nigeria suffers a 10% tax when you export to China. So most of the products, sesame that is going out of Nigeria is labeled as sesame seed from Niger Republic. The duty-free treatment certificate is obtained, and the origin is changed. So that brings about a global distortion if you look at those figures. Nigeria has made presentation to China to get this equal treatment that is given to other African producers. We're still on it, and we hope that this issue will be resolved so that we have a fair opportunity to trade our sesame seed like other African countries that are producing. 10% in commodity business is huge. If you have 10% disparity already with someone else who is also sending to the same market, it's a big disadvantage for you. So we are hoping that the Chinese authorities will look into this so that this can be resolved. Thank you. I think at this point is just all that I have to say. We'll wait until the question and session and we'll take more of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sherif, for your short and crispy speech on this subject. Now, that means there are problems. We need to discuss about the problems and we need to find a solution. To start with, I want to ask few questions to my panel members. First of all, I would like to ask Mr. Mohammad Fakran. Since you are more concentrating on Turkey, I would like to start with Turkey. One of the major challenges which a supplier is facing when they are supplying the cargo into Turkey, not from Ethiopia or Sudan, but when you talk about Nigeria, Tanzania, Burkina, all these countries, there is something called whitish sesame seed. There is no clear definition for whitish sesame seed. What is whitish? 90% dark whitish and 10% dark seed is whitish, or 95.5 is whitish, 98.2 is whitish, because in this segment, in this notation, always there is a chance of dispute. How you think that this can be solved? Thank you.
Indeed, there is no parameters followed to identify the qualities. I think it's all can come with the help of NGOs, international associations that can gather the farmers from all over the world and try to put standard parameters for the quality, and we can all follow it.
Thank you. But you think the NGOs should come into Turkey and discuss with the buyers or sellers, or what in the origin? Still, can you tell me what is the whitish? Is it 100% whitish means whitish, or?
It depends on the buyer. Most of the buyers would need it 100%. But yeah, it depends on the buyer.
Okay. Though this is still need to be debated, I'm going for my second question. This is to my Japanese counterpart. As we have seen, Mr. Alok was saying that one of the main problem when we are shipping the cargo to Japan is the pesticides. In general, Africa is out of pesticides, but still you can find it. It's not possible to do all analysis in Africa. No, Africa has these facilities to analyze. Since you want, the Japanese standardization is so strict, why don't you buy certified organic by paying the right price?
So it is too difficult question. So of course, we like a trading company, we have like a Sesame Association, only trading company. Each trading company is member of association. So we are fighting to, how to say, expand more easily this pesticide regulation. Of course, we want to buy more quantity, more material from Africa. But Japanese government is very, very strict for us. So unfortunately, its regulation is not become easily. But please kind of understand, we are fighting to get more easily value for pesticide.
No, at least if when you go back to Japan, if you can start some initiation on this, we think that there is some development progress because of this conference. So, I hope you will do that.
Yes, of course. So now some pesticide regulation became more strict, maybe, but some supplier know, and we are helping each embassy to support this value for keeping. Of course, we want to, and we are fighting to Japanese government.
If you buy the organic, certified organic sesame seed, all these problems will be solved.
Yes, of course, we want to buy organized, that is proof very, very safety, but Japanese clients so strict. we also want no checking after arriving in Japan. Of course, we also don't face same trouble. Please understand.
Thank you. My next question to Ms. Hechin. You know, in China, when they started year 2007, the trade was on a healthy manner. But last few years, I can see some major trading houses going for an unhealthy competition, that using their money power buying, the way if they want to increase the price, they are increasing. If they don't want, they are reducing the prices. Because of that, even the many Chinese small players are always losing. Is there anything where you can involve as a Chamber of Commerce person also and bring a healthy competition between the players?
So the main reason from the speculative capital inflow. So it's not easy to resolve it.
At least if you can, bring a common forum, probably you are so many members you have it, maybe some discussions on that, at least the market should reflect the real demand and supply. Often, because of the big trading houses game, it's not reflecting the real demand supply position.
I think we have to come back to the trading environment. If the buyer and the sellers, especially the supplying countries and the processors in China, I mean the consumer, the processing factories, if they can communicate each other fully, they understand what the market will be. Maybe it's better to escape from the speculative behavior.
Okay, still, I would, request you to put some of your thoughts on this question, because this is going to be one of the major challenges in this industry, since China is a major player. Thank you. Now, my next question is to Mr. Alok. One of the major problems is the standardization of quality. As you said in your speech that, every road has, every farm nowadays started naming their sesame seed as that farm's name. This can be avoided if there is a forum, sellers, if all sellers are ready to sell on a common contract, standard contract, and if we can ensure the traceability of the product. What things you can do on this aspect? Because you said this is a problem, but from your view, how we go ahead and how we find a solution? Because here we are not only talking about the problems, we need to talk about at least an initial discussion about the solutions as well. Thank you.
No, as I mentioned in my presentation, the way is the sesame seed, either it could be whitish or it could be mixed, or it could be big size or it could be small size, especially for Turkish market. And third, what we are selling as per specification to the Japan market, because Japan market as such have no differentiation between the origin or specific origin of the sesame seed. So we can change it either to the color basis or to the specification basis or color and size basis. This is what I feel.
Okay. I think, when we all suppliers, we should have some discussions on this, and probably the great Mr. Sanjeev sitting there on the right side, he can take an initiative on this to make a standardization of contracts where everybody will follow so that we can, reduce the problems. Thank you. Now, next question is to Mr. Sharif. I have two quick questions to you. One is that it's a question, maybe nobody will be able to answer, but still get an idea when the logistics problems in Lagos will get solved. Number two, Nigeria, though the production, as I said, increasing and it's gaining more importance in the sesame seed industry, the admixture, the average rejects when you buy a raw sesame seed from the field is much higher than other standards of Africa. How this can be, probably some education needs to be given to the traders, because never know, tomorrow you are going to lead Nigeria is going to lead the sesame seed world. So it is better to start now and see what you can do, to get a product, raw cargo, with a minimum rejects in that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Your first question, like you said, it will be only a wild guess, to be able to say precisely when the problem of that porting will be solved completely. But what I can assure you, and I've said before, is there's been a tremendous improvement in what it is a few months back to what it is at present. And I think all hands are on deck to ensure that this congestion issue is solved. And especially now that exporters are beginning to look into alternative ports for shipment, Port Harcourt, Calabar, and the infrastructures in those ports are going to be improved, and then that will help ease the load on the Lagos port. Now, on the second question on the issue of quality, I wouldn't want to agree completely as to the use of the adjective very high. Yes, there are quality issues, but we're addressing them. A lot is being done at the farming level by the association to, sensitize farmers, teach them, tell them, even to the point of sanctions on some of those who engage in practices that are not of the best. So there's a lot that is going on there, and the quality has improved over the years, certainly. I could say right now, percentage of impurities from gate level, even pre-cleaning, has come down in some places to as less as 5%, and that is a big improvement from where it used to be before. In even some few states now, almost about 2%. So there's improvement, and there's room for more, and we're doing all it takes to do that. But however, I want to mention sometimes that even at the cleaning plants, you have people coming in with specification of 95.5. These are practices that we don't understand. Even though they talk about paying a different price, where, aggregators are ready to give 99.5%, 99.7%, they're asking for 95.5 with the hope that there will be a price drop. So it comes to the issue of also specification and what are you trying to trade, price for lower quality or so. So those are things that I think there has to be a standardization, a general agreement in the industry as to how the standards are going to be and maintained. Then you have a fair trading. But where some people will say, 95% because I want to pay $20 or $30 less in the hope that they will clean and make a more margin, then that becomes an issue. So it's key, like you said, that there needs to be a meeting of minds to come up with a standard which should be acceptable to all. Thank you.
Please.
Yes, if I might add to the question raised on the port issue and congestion. I'm sure the government is doing very well. We have contracted out the roads that are linking to Apapa Port that is under construction now. Again, all things being equal, we're expecting 1.5 to 2.5 years completion time, and that will be okay. But the second alternative, what we have been developing with some cocoa producers, is to have a group of exporters. Now, find a port, they have started with Calabar, to raise some good quantity of containers per month and make that an export hub where most of the lines will go. And we've been talking to different liners to see if we can arrange that. I think one exporter of cocoa has started, and I will be calling a meeting soon with Export Processing Council to have all the exporters of commodities in one room, discuss quantities, discuss time, then bring in the shipping companies and discuss quantities that they can pick and see if we can quickly have an alternative route to Lagos. That will simplify And by the calculations we make, it will even be more cost effective for most of the commodities that live in the north, if you target Calabar or Port Harcourt. So we are working very, very hard on that to resolve that issue. It might be temporary, but I think it has the potential to become a permanent solution for this Lagos deadlock problem in Apapa. That is one. On the quality issue, like I've said, in our state, what we do, I agree with you absolutely. Even though the chairman is trying to be more diplomatic on the situation, it's true. The impurities are much. What we do is to create a mobile court that visit the market and buying centers, check what customers bring to the markets, and be sure they assess it. Where they find unnecessary impurities, we confiscate the sesame and we send you to court and fine and even jail term. So I'm sure other governors will do the same so that we'll have quality control mechanism in our buying centers. Because most of the situation doesn't originate from the farmers. It happens between the middlemen that are aggregating from the farmers in the villages and delivering to the markets. And we have followed the trend very well, and we have started seriously well in Jigawa State, and I'm sure the other states that are producing sesame will do the same. We will discuss this at our fair review mechanism meeting, and we will get it done. And I'm sure by next season, the kind of impurities that you have been seeing today will decline considerably. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I think it was the most precise answer for any questions I made today. Probably I would be more happy if I'm getting such type of answers for other questions as well. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much. I have one question to our Japanese counterpart. Often your rejection on the pesticides are not coming in time, because when the cargo arrives, I mean, it's your responsibility, the buyer's responsibility to clear the goods within a specific time and tell us if this cargo is suitable or not. At least, so that we can also try to find out what's the problem, where the problem went. But many cases we have seen 1 month, 2 months, or even 3 months after that we are getting the rejection. And second, there is no standard operating procedure for rejected goods. One buyer's procedure is different, another one is different, everybody is different. Can we have a, straight away, a different, a standard procedure for all Chinese importers, Chinese buyers to follow and get us rejection or not rejection immediately? That means within a reasonable time of cargo arrival. Thank you.
Yes, first question about the timing. So in Japan, we are checking about 2 or 3 times after arrival in Japan. So it is so many times. So one time's arrival in Japan by us, a trading company checking as we call voluntary test. If a trading company test will be allowed, proceed to customs clearance. So some origin no need to check by officially, but some country should be checked by officially, like I'd say. In Nigeria, maybe checked by official survey for not pesticide aflatoxin. Then after making custom clearance, we sell to our client. But client also checking the pesticide by themselves. So totally 3 times, or not official survey, 2 times by Japanese trading company and Japanese final manufacturer. So that's why there is like a time lag after arrival in Japan. Few weeks we can inform this cargo is rejected. But 1 month or 2 months later, we sometimes we have informed to supplier, because Of course, we checked already passed to client, but client also checking the pesticide. Then, unfortunately, some pesticides rejected by client side. So, of course, already passed 2 months or 3 months later after arrival in Japan. So, it is big headache for us also. So, how to say to inform to supplier, but we have to inform to supplier. It is just proof. So how to say it's very difficult to say. So of course we negotiate to each client after a few weeks. Please check the pesticides because we also very hard to say to supply side. Of course we don't want to say to supply side after 2 or 3 months later. So of course we are discussing about each client. Please check immediately after arrival in Japan. So please understand and we are negotiating continually.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. I'm getting so many opinions, though it's not a question from the floor. There are some, it's interesting to read it. If the suppliers or exporters are giving an option for the buyers, whether it is whitish, mixed, small, so somebody is suggesting to make a syndicate of suppliers and prepare a standard, contract. That's a good suggestion. Another one, is it possible to get organic system? Okay, there is one question. Yeah, I should not go without this question. It's very important. Is it possible to get organic sesame in the sense of the word organic? How can we obtain organic certification in Nigeria? For this question, whoever made the question, I would like to, since we are running a little bit out of time, I would like to personally discuss with Mr. Sharif. I hope you can help them because somebody is looking, saying that, how he can get a, organic certification. Probably, please direct that question directly to him once the floor is over. Thank you. I think we have discussed in details the idea of this panel and this discussion, not to find just in a minute or in 1 hour a solution, but it's just a start for finding the solutions. For finding the solution, there's 2 things what we need. Is we need an intention and act on that intention. So we started that move. Probably coming conferences, we'll have more detailed discussions on these issues, and slowly, we will find solutions for all challenges in this industry, and we will take this industry to another level. Thank you. Thank you for all the panelists for joining here. Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Prakash. That was the most amazingly engaging session post-lunch. I would request all our panelists to kindly stay on the stage as I invite Mr. K S Prakash to present a memento to each one of our speakers in this panel, starting with a memento for Mr. Mohammad Fakhran, the Director, Rasagra. And there are a couple of things I'd like to point out as Mr. Prakash gives away these mementos, starting with Mr. Fakhran. Sir, can we have you up here, please, in the front? Mr. Alok Bhargav, Director, Prarambh Agri Trading GM DMCC. Sir. Tomohisa Fujimoto-san from Mitsui & Company Limited. Mr. Sheriff Balogun, the President of National Sesame Seed and Association, Nigeria. And finally, once again, from CFNA, Ms. Hashin. Gentlemen, ma'am, may I please request you to step forward for a group picture? Thank you so much, sir. Apart from Mr. Vatsa's applause, you were the only one that I could hear. You were the only one I could hear clap. So please, in the meanwhile, may I invite Mr. Tola Faseru to please join us on the stage, present a memento to Mr. K S Prakash for his amazing steering of this session. Thank you.